I have less respect for Catherine Bigelow now.
Yeah, are we sure Catherine Bigelow is a good filmmaker? I don't think she's she's untalented or horrific. But just from what I've seen, I just have to think to myself, well, what are we really defending? Though there is stuff in Detroit I actually really fucking like. So
yeah. Well, I'm just glad we can talk about it, because I was afraid that after berating people for not noticing the flaws in Marvel movies and Star Wars movies for hours on end. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to discuss a movie that actually addresses an important topic. So,
well, granted, none of us are in the position to talk about that topic in a nuanced and thoughtful manner.
That is true.
I'm wearing shorts and a dress shirt. I am exactly the kind of man who should not be allowed to talk about this.
Hello, hack frauds.
Are we ready to start the show now?
I guess it's now. It's either now or never.
Okay. Hi. Welcome back to the Hack Fraud Show.
We exist again.
Episode 69. Hooray!
Oh, is this really episode 69?
It is indeed.
Let me tell you. I need to admit something.
Yes.
I'm backtracking on the secret movie because it has to do with this episode.
Okay.
And I didn't watch it, and maybe that's for the best.
What was the secret movie going to be?
It was the winner of the Palme d'Or at the 2013 Cannes Film Festival.
Cannes, not Canes.
Cannes.
Wait.
Fuck it, it's blue is the warmest color.
Oh.
I'll just save that for...
It was on Netflix, man. I mean,
It's 3 hours long.
I mean, yeah.
So you were going to watch it, but then you didn't watch it, but you kept it a secret that you were going to watch it.
Yeah.
And then didn't watch it.
Welcome to the strangest podcast that's ever persisted on YouTube.
I guess episode 69 was an appropriate time to bring that up. Okay, we're doing Ingmar Bergman this week. Wow.
I think after watching Persona, I'm satisfied that for episode 69 we chose this.
Oh, you did watch? You watched Persona?
Yes.
Did it break you?
I was questioning what the fuck is this, but no.
Okay.
I was too, but in a good way.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. So yes, we will be discussing three films by Ingmar Bergman.
Oh, yeah, 3.
The Seventh Seal, Through a Glass Darkly, and Persona. This should be a fascinating conversation if we ever get around to it.
Yes.
But, first, the age-old question: what have we been watching?
One of the things I've been watching is quite a bit of Rick and Morty.
Oh, goody.
I have really warmed up to this show. I finally learned I'm just going to push all the memey nonsense to the side and look at all the great sci-fi stories it's telling.
Yeah.
I will say one of the issues I have with it is that okay, sort of a backtrack here. This show was built heavily off of anti-humor. That half the time the showrunners and the producers are just saying "fuck you," this is our show. I mean, "wubba lubba dub dub" is just a complete showcase in that. But sometimes you can't tell, especially in the early season 1, you just can't tell what are the real jokes and what are the troll jokes they're doing just to fuck with us.
I always remember there's an episode where they have the creator of Marmaduke randomly show up as a character.
Yeah, sometimes I'm just and I think at one point somebody I listened to brought this up and they said I like the show, but sometimes it's we can do anything random humor shtick just gets really old.
Yeah.
But hey, at its best, it's one of the best sci-fi things on television.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah, as far as I think I adore the Parasite episode.
Or, amazing.
That's just an incredible piece of sci-fi. At its best, it's an incredible piece of sci-fi. But regardless, that was just something I watched, and I guess I just wanted to speak to that portion of it because it's kind of like it's one of like these like universally beloved things right now. Like memesters can watch it because it's just full of nonsense and random non sequiturs, but it's also like a smart sci-fi show that people can watch and analyze.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's like one of my favorite shows on right now. The new season just started officially, and it's very exciting. The Pickle Rick episode is airing tonight, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, I'm curious where it goes next, this show.
I am as well. It's tiding us all over until BoJack Horseman comes back in September.
I mean, I would get back to BoJack Horseman, but then I watched a clip of it, and I remember, oh wait, this is the show that it is. Fuck. I think it was a bit where Mr. Peanut Butter is just talking and says all life is meaningless. Oh yeah, this is supposed to be a comic relief character.
I love it so much.
But that is a great show.
Yeah. Well, what else have we been watching?
Do we want to get into it?
Well, give me a second. I just want to give an update. I'm still working my way through The Wire. I'm cruising up to the home stretch. I started season 5. The season 4 finale is an unbelievable episode of television. It twists and turns and breaks your heart and warms your heart in all kinds of different ways. It's incredible. The 4th season of the show is such an incredible exercise in sustained narrative storytelling. I love it. It's incredible. Season 5 looks to be right up my alley because the focus for this one is I think I brought this up before, but every season introduces kind of a new institution that they stir into the mix, and this one, the last season, focuses on the newsroom of the Baltimore Sun newspaper. And you know me, I just eat up any movie or TV show about journalists, so this should be a good time.
I will say, I think I did watch the first episode of the first season of The Wire. I'm going to say this, as far as, I'm not going to say what's the big fucking deal. I'm going to ask, why should I keep watching? What about the show? What about this episode is an outlier? What about it keeps going? And what about it do you think should keep me hooked?
I won't say it's difficult because it took me 3 tries to actually watch the show all the way through. The pilot is very strange because it just kind of just starts the threads going. This show, I brought this up before because I talked about how the true unit of the show was the season, and that's because the creator has actually kind of described it as a visual novel. The show has a very novelistic approach to storytelling. Every season is its own novel in an ongoing series, and every episode kind of serves as a chapter or maybe a few different chapters that kind of further all the storylines. It's just, it builds. There's a real build to it, and the first season is very deliberately paced, and it can take time to get into it. But if you stick with it, the rewards that you will reap of narrative storytelling are beyond any other that I've seen on television or even in film. Certainly, this show builds a world and tells a truly large scale story, just that covers an incredible amount of ground in different levels of society in a way that's just incredible.
Yeah, I will say the best part about it is the not the filmmaking, the world building.
Yeah,
it sort of just shows you just different layers of Baltimore. There's Baltimore police work.
Yeah.
The great gulf between on the ground policing and the bureaucratic upper pinnings where they're all in downtown skyscrapers.
Yeah.
The issue is just so far I just don't give a shit about any of the characters. The world is the only thing that interests me so far, so I just needed to just say what of this show becomes the juggernaut.
It takes its time. There are a lot of great characters. I think if you take the time to get into it, you really do become invested in these characters' lives. But that does take time. So, I certainly, it's not for everyone. If you have a hard time staying focused, as I know you do, it may not be the program for you.
It's not to say like I'm not ready to abandon it. It's just the sort of thing like I was underwhelmed. Is the word.
Yeah. No, which is understandable.
So yeah, I might look back on it at some point because it is interesting and it is important television. I'll give it that. Like this is a subject. The way it treats its subject matter is unique.
Yeah. But let's talk about the movie we all saw this week, shall we?
Oh, good God.
I think on the side if we want to put it off more.
Have you been seeing something?
I've actually been seeing something.
Ooh. This is unexpected.
Yeah, I know. It's like it happens every solar eclipse or something. Because, there's a solar eclipse.
Yeah, on the 21st.
Yeah. But anyways, well, this isn't a fucking astronomy. So let's go. So this past week, I decided to take a look back deep into the deep history of the Marvel Syndicate with the movie Iron Man.
Okay.
With Iron Man.
The first Iron Man.
The first Iron Man.
I don't think I've seen this movie since it came out.
So it's a lot more interesting than I gave it credit at the time, and then looking back, it plays off a lot of different things, especially because I think this is like one of the few Marvel movies that actually have a story in them. I'm like, holy shit.
Well, like the sort of Marvel Cinematic Universe flippery really didn't start until was it Thor that they started it's all connected, man?
Yeah, because they did Iron Man and then they did The Incredible Hulk, which no one cared about and still no one cares about, and then they did Iron Man 2, which was terrible, and then Iron Man 2 was when it really started to creep in, and then Thor, it was okay, this is it, these things are all connected.
Avengers exists, we swear.
Yeah. And then Captain America, the First Avenger, which is a very solid movie, just ended with a literal trailer for the Avengers.
Oh yeah. So yeah, sort of the early sort of Paramount years of this franchise are interesting. I think once you hit Avengers, it's kind of okay. Even Avengers, I'm just not too sold on.
I mean, that's how I feel a little bit, but yeah. So anyways, so one of the things that was a little bit that I saw for the first time is that the Jeff Bridges character isn't that good of a villain.
Well, that's a common thing about the movie, that nobody likes the villain, nobody likes the third act.
It all started here. All of Marvel's villain problems can be traced right back to this movie.
Yeah. To this greedy, double-playing bastard. And then I suppose the use of AC/DC music is too much. That's the other thing. But then I realize they just keep using it for the rest of the Iron Mans.
Well, should I watch it as a movie and not as some cinematic experiment that caused the death of blockbuster cinema as we know it?
It's a movie.
Okay.
I can't say the same about Iron Man 2 and 3, but Iron Man 1 is a movie.
It's a movie. That's what the nicest thing we can say about these things, is that they're movies.
Listen, Iron Man, the first one, I think it's pretty solid. I think it holds up. I mean, I haven't watched it in a while, but, as I recall, there's a real, kind of, gritty, edge to it that Marvel has really lost. And, I think, Jon Favreau brings a lot of, enthusiasm to it. It feels like a real movie. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, I think Iron Man is a promise that the rest of the movies just threw away, because in Iron Man you see a movie it's just so indicative that the end of the movie is Iron Man revealing who his alter ego is. And sort of wow, isn't that an interesting thing to do that we can explore in future installments? And sort of it would be a series not about just portraying superheroes, but also deconstructing them. Yeah. And then the Incredible Hulk happened, and it all went out the window.
Yeah, and I still haven't seen the Incredible Hulk. I have a friend who actually rides pretty hard for it, but I have no plans to see it. Iron Man 2 is just an abomination. It's just terrible. Iron Man 3 I remember liking. I haven't watched it in a while, but Shane Black made it. And
Shane Black, yeah.
I like Shane Black. I remember it being pretty okay, but perhaps I'm wrong.
Yes.
Have you been watching anything else, Dr. Reed?
Yes. So I was able to watch our favorite Harry Potter movie.
Ooh.
Yet again.
Six.
The Half-Blood Prince, which is Snape and and Snape kills Dumbledore. and I feel good enough. And I feel good enough in saying, if you don't already know that by now, fuck you.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Yes. So for time immemorial, I regarded this and then the movie that came after, Deathly Hallows Part 1, as the two Harry Potter movies that look the best. And I sort of see why, mainly because it kind of reminds me of sort of what's going on now. Is that, the outside world is a pile of shit, but then you have all these really nice moments that are contained in packages that are sprinkled throughout the movie.
Well, isn't there the sort of like quasi like prom in 6?
Yeah,
which is just delightful, and is it Slugworth or
Slughorn?
Slughorn is utterly delightful.
Yes.
He is very good. I love Jim Broadbent in pretty much anything.
Oh yeah. Are we all in agreement that one's the best? Or
I
certainly
certainly
the most complete out of any. Actually, no. It's actually been a while since I've seen the Chris Columbus ones.
Those are okay.
Yeah, I'd say they're okay, but they lean more towards accuracy in the books.
Yeah.
Like, in my issues of 3, like, for all its filmmaking wizardry, fuck me. It's also, like, it just feels oddly incomplete as far as, like, a story is concerned.
Yeah, I always go back to, like, the filmmaking in that one is stupendous and the writing is still, like, not quite there. Like, 6 is firing on all conceivable cylinders.
It's the best it's the most complete that this series would get. And it's about things.
Yes. Who knew?
I didn't know movies could be about things in singular contained packages.
And also with an interesting tension that Harry is this double agent spy. Well, more like just a spy. Just to get memories from Slughorn to save the world. And then goes on a mission with Dumbledore that we learn at the end is absolutely fucking pointless.
I do love that. It's such a great, like, nihilistic little detail that she slips in there.
Because Sirius Black's relative, whoever Rab is a little piece of shit.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Good movie.
Good movie.
Did you watch anything else?
Obviously, the movies for the and this little this little small. It's a small film.
Very short. Very short.
Very short. It is Catherine Bigelow's new piece called Detroit, which is a very nice break from Zero Dark 30.
It's not in the Middle East.
But at the same time, it's not a nice break from Zero Dark 30. Because Zero Dark 30, as horrifying as it was when I saw it, is much more entertaining and much more movie than what we just saw.
There's this a cruel trick I did to myself was that I went into the movie like under the illusion that the movie was only an hour and 45. Like, I don't know why I thought that.
Oh no!
I don't know why I thought that, but that's what I thought going in. At a certain point, like it's after like they all get out of the Algiers motel, and then I realized, wait a minute. The Jean Bodega interrogation scene hasn't happened yet. Shit!
Just to be clear, this movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
This is one Revenge of the Sith. Which is too much for anyone.
Which is too much of any movie. But regardless... Okay.
All right, so the movie is Catherine Bigelow's Detroit. This movie follows the Algiers motel incident during the Detroit riots in 1967?
Yeah, I think it's 67, but like not until like 20 to 30 minutes into the movie.
Yeah. I'm sorry, John, I cut you off. Say whatever you were going to say.
I mean, like, the movie kind of concerns the Detroit riots in the late 60s, and sort of like, the movie begins with a sort of like animated segment telling you about like the Great Migration and sort of rising racial tensions in American cities, and like it gives you like it tells you about like the LA riots and other things like that, and it presents you a sort of a crackdown of a party going on in Detroit, which fuels a riot, which then pretty much turns into goddamn urban warfare. Yeah, and I have to say, like, as a war movie, this movie's kind of stupendous. Like, I really love the sort of, like, isolated on its own, just the the Detroit riots as this grand, ambitious event being portrayed in a sort of faux documentary style.
I think of actual footage from the time.
Yeah, and they do like it's shot on film, but they'll also like cut to real like archival footage, and that's like really interesting to me. I think that's really entertaining.
But I was a little suspicious when like the like time stamp was like it went by so fast with so little movie time. I was a little concerned. I'm like, what's gonna happen next? Well, we have a fuck ton of movie left.
Yeah, well,
we're basically almost done covering the riot.
Yeah, well, it starts at like day 1. Day 2, and I'm like, we're kind of going to cover this thing like day by day. Oh, that's really interesting. Then they cut to a bunch of Motown singers in a theater, and the movie just stops.
Okay, here's the thing: the early parts of this movie like could have been interesting, except for the fact that they have nothing to do with anything that happens later in the movie. So you're kind of left wondering, like, what was that like 25 minutes of movie we just had? Like, what was the point of that?
Oh yes, certainly. And like it just ends up being pointless. Like the real movie starts.
Well, I feel like it's more like just like a setup. Say, hey,
the Detroit riots were a thing, guys,
and this is this, and here was the impact. Now let's go to the actual story. With Motown.
As a contained 30-minute like dramatic documentary, I like the first part of the movie, but like again, it has nothing to do with anything going on in the Algiers Motel. Well,
and just in terms of establishing things, like they take 25 minutes to do what they could have done in 10 or less. Like, I really did not enjoy this movie.
Neither did I. Like, I think the moment we get to the Motown singers, and like I realize, like, oh wait, I don't care about these people.
They spent, for all the time they spend like setting things up, that none of that time is spent establishing the characters in an interesting way.
Like all the characters are just blunt objects.
Yes.
Or in this case, shotgun shells.
Fucking sure.
With that racist fuck.
The most interesting character is John Bodega, I think.
Boyega.
Because like it kind of shows him, like they call him an Uncle Tom, which is really interesting.
Right.
Which was like a phrase used like to describe like a complicit.
Right.
I'm
black sure person. We're all familiar.
Yeah. And then so like you have the idea of John Bodega as like working within like the horrible law enforcement institutions of Detroit as like a security officer.
Yeah.
But then he also like tries to like diffuse tensions and help people along the way as like abuse is going on. The issue is then like he spends most of the Algiers segment just in the background doing nothing.
Yes. Oh my god.
Which is so infuriating.
Now, let me say this. That middle third of the movie, where they're all, like, trapped in the motel, very good, like, well-directed, effective, like, tense, like, kind of claustrophobic, like, thriller. Like, that is, like, very well-done, like, filmmaking there.
Yeah, like, in the beginning you feel like, oh, shit, like, someone's about to drop a shoe and shit's gonna go down.
Yeah. I will say this, and, like, I don't want this to come off as insensitive, but, like, one thing that was lingering in the back of my mind the entire time was, like, why does no one bother to even try to explain, like, hey, this guy was shooting off a starter pistol?
Yeah,
like,
it's not until the fucking trial that anyone says it was a toy gun.
Yes, like, what the fuck?
Women in the side room in the front of the motel. But I guess they weren't even in range of racist fuck.
I feel like after To the Best of Your Knowledge, these guys have killed, like, 3 people. Like, aren't you going to at least try to explain what... Like, no one even bothers to try. Like, that was
they don't even, like, give, like, any explanation why they would do such a thing, if one should do such a thing.
Right, and... I understand that you're basing this movie off of, like, historical events and, like, even, like, no one's really quite sure, like, what happened in the motel that night. But the fact that, like, the way they frame it raises these questions, like, it means, like, they did not do an effective job.
Oh, yeah, and it also, like, they show, like, every single grinding detail of this shit. I mean, like, when the question is what really happened in your movie, maybe you shouldn't just show every goddamn minute detail in your scenes. scenes.
And look, if the movie had like just been like that incident, like I feel like I would have enjoyed it a lot more, and it would have been a much better movie.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, after this sequence is over, there's like another 40 minutes of movie left to go.
And like just
was it 40 minutes?
At least.
It feels like a fucking hour and a half.
And God, the stuff that comes after is horrible.
Oh yeah, like it is. It turns from a kind of nice gritty war movie into the worst courtroom drama.
It is so terrible. I'm shocked by how bad like the last third of this movie is.
Mm-hmm. And as far as like how like it just seems the kind of end like you.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like look, and I blame more of this on the screenwriter Mark Bowl, who. I mean, we've watched The Hurt Locker, which we didn't love, and John, you have not seen Zero Dark 30, have you?
I haven't seen Zero Dark 30.
That movie I like, and I think it's his best screenplay because that movie is about like sifting through like a fuckload of information, and that is what this guy seems to be good at. And look, I got no beef with Catherine Bigelow other than I think she should start working with a real cinematographer because I am so done with the fucking like documentary style like verite kind of feel in a movie that like has this big of a budget. Like if your movie cost more than $1 million, there is no reason why you should be shooting it this way. Like it is so done. I am so over it. But I do think Catherine Bigelow is a talented director, and I think she's good at like constructing tense sequences. Yes. I think she should start working with a new screenwriter. Like, I'm sorry, like Mark Bowl, like you're not very good at this.
It's the sort of film that like there is value in like showing these sort of events like just unflinching detail. The issue is it doesn't quite know what to do with them.
Yeah. Like
it brings up a lot. We got police brutality, we have institutional racism, we have sort of mob mentality in there. We have fucking Motown of all things. Mm-hmm. We have like the politics of white women with black men.
Yeah.
And it just cherry picks all of these, but it doesn't really know. It has no conclusion about any of them other than bad people bad.
Exactly. The big takeaway of this movie is police brutality is a thing, and that's bad.
Yeah,
which
it doesn't do any dive into the culture that creates it. The sort of, and also like it would be really. I thought the movie was going to do a sort of like, hey, the sort of politics of mob mentality as like the rule of law in Detroit just keeps breaking down, and you have this like different levels of American military.
Yeah.
In this city, and I think like Detroit as Vietnam is a fascinating angle to go at, but again, dropped. We're at the Algiers Motel.
Yeah. Look,
so, there's just a lot of things they could go with, and they decide to do all of them, which is the same as doing none of them.
Yeah. If you read the news, like this movie isn't going to tell you anything you didn't already know. Like and I.
Even if you don't watch very good news.
Yeah. I don't know. I really just did not enjoy this movie at all. It was just not a good experience. And I'm very disappointed that like they squandered their opportunity to like make a serious movie about police brutality with this.
Yeah, so I mean, like there are aspects of it I like. Like, I love, like, Detroit as Vietnam. I think it's just a fascinating idea. The issue is it has nothing to say about any of it. And, God, it's way too fucking long.
It is way too long.
And it's just a slog, this movie. After a certain point, like, we were just all, like, hunched down in our chairs going, God, when does it end?
Yeah.
Matthew would every once in a while just look at me and say, end.
Yeah. I was pretty much the same way. But my roommate loved it. So.
Oh, hey, a lot of people seem to love it. Isn't it got like an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes or something?
Like that. Yeah.
And a lot of the praise seems to be fairly glowing.
I don't understand why. I just don't. So that's
maybe there's like the things like evoking these issues is the same thing as doing something interesting with them, which it's not.
It's not. So that's Detroit.
It's. What do you have? What do you have any final thoughts about it other than because we're all like the issue I think you came up with like because we're all fairly sympathetic to like the issues it attempts to champion.
Yeah.
You kind of had like this idea of like it is not politically viable for me to say it's not very good.
Yes. Of sorts. Yes.
Because like you said like it's good, but Catherine Bigelow is a hack fraud, which is two contradictory statements.
Well, maybe okay. I want to revise that.
Okay.
Whoever the screenwriter is a hack fraud.
Okay. Though granted, I'm just not thrilled with Catherine Bigelow either. To be honest, like I don't think of the Hurt Locker and this. I'm just kind of like noted auteur Catherine Bigelow.
Watch Point Break.
Well, maybe I should. But Zero Dark 30 at least sounds interesting. I don't know if I'd actually like it, but
it's a brutal movie.
Yeah. But it's also like probably her most interesting movie that I've seen. I don't know. John, I feel like maybe you might like Strange Days. I really didn't like it, but you might kind of enjoy
What's
it.
Strange Days about?
It's like a near future kind of thing. I think it was made in like the early 90s, but it takes place in like 99 or something. It takes place in some like bizarre like near future kind of thing where like they have like a virtual reality like system that you can like use to like relive other people's experiences.
Boy, that's what I want to see. Early 90s VR depictions.
Oh, it is dated as fuck. But Rafe Fiennes is in it. I don't know. James Cameron wrote the screenplay, and I have many, many issues with James Cameron as a screenwriter. So
James Cameron maybe shouldn't be writing screenplays.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting movie. I'm not sure if I would really recommend it, but you know, the whole first sequence of it is like a first person style like action sequence, which is actually pretty well done. But I don't have much to say about it.
We're all waiting for the modern VR depiction Ready Player One.
Oh God!
And how undated that will look.
Yeah. Should we just move on here? I think.
Are we ready to go to Sweden?
Let's go to Sweden. It's time. Let's talk some Ingmar Bergman.
So having, pretty good background in the German language, listening to the dialogue, I picked out a lot of like words that sound very similar in German, mainly because they're so close. Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
I mean, like, I have like a passing familiarity with German, so you see like, oh, that's a cognitive, and that's a cognitive. Oh, look at there. Oh, look, there's some French in there. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, like the word understand is very close, and then like the word for beach is pretty much spot on.
And then so like the word for deaf is like Duten, which is a play on like Toten.
Yeah.
We're beginning this movie podcast with a discussion of linguistics.
He started it. But regardless, these movies, when were these movies made? Are they all like around roughly the same era?
They're basically the same era. Seventh Seal came out in 57, Through a Glass Darkly was 61, and Persona was 66. So they're all like right around the kind of art house heyday of like the 50s and into the 60s. So Ingmar Bergman, kind of the leading Swedish filmmaker in the international community. He's well known.
I don't think really anyone comes close.
Yeah. His movies are very well known for their like distinctive kind of existential like questions and
The Seventh Seal is fairly iconic.
Yeah, The Seventh Seal is actually like pretty extremely iconic. I forgot I was going to tell you the trailer for Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Which have you seen that movie, John? Did you watch it at some point?
I've seen Holy Grail, yeah.
Okay, did you like it?
I liked it, yes.
Okay,
yes.
good.
Who doesn't like Monty Python?
Okay, good. The trailer for that movie, which is like my favorite trailer for anything ever, has a joke about the Seventh Seal in it, and that's very interesting. Also, I think that movie like would make an oddly good double feature with the Seventh Seal because they have a lot of like kind of the same like window dressing. But Monty Python's like philosophical underpinnings also seems to be that nothing matters. Yeah. A sort of undercurrent of nihilism. So do we want to just start with the Seventh Seal?
Let's go, man. Let's go. Did you watch the Seventh Seal?
No.
Well, granted, it's also been quite a bit since I've watched The Seventh Seal, and like the circumstances under which I watched it completely alone in a dark room whilst it was storming cats and dogs outside. The perfect place to watch
the perfect environment for this movie. Yeah, so The Seventh Seal, this is the movie that kind of brings Bergman to international attention. This and Wild Strawberries, which were both released in the same year. This guy just worked like a madman. So this movie follows Max von Sydow as Antonius Block, a knight returning to Sweden from the Crusades during the Black Death. He encounters death on a beach, challenges him to a game of chess for his life, and proceeds to like wander through medieval plague town and encounter
this
various.
This is kind of like the definitive modern depiction of like the personification of death. Oddly enough,
which is great because death in this movie is very interesting.
And he's utterly delightful.
Your
performance is cancelled because of death.
So this was the last one I watched, actually. I watched them in reverse chronological order, kind of by happenstance. Okay. And it's odd because this movie is, like, oddly very entertaining in a weird way.
Oh, yeah, like, there's like a lot of, like, dark comedy in it.
Yeah, like, his squire is such a fun character, like, always making, like, witty comments. There's a lot of, like, kind of, dark comedy. Just kind of, like, the supernatural elements of it and, like, the medieval setting are, like, weirdly just kind of fun window dressing. But it also, like, grapples with very, like, big questions of, like, God and what happens, like, after we die and, like, are we... What is the point of all of this?
Life and life is torture.
Yeah. It's fascinating. Just because, like, this is a guy who literally, like, went and, like, fought for the glory of God for 10 years and has kind of, like, is now questioning, like, whether it was all just completely futile.
Yeah, there's, like, a fascinating scene where, like, they go to a church where, like, they're painting this large mural.
Yeah.
And that's just, like, a fascinating conversation.
Yeah, it's I like it a lot. It's a very well done movie and very compelling. Deals with some very interesting questions. It's oddly, like, an interesting companion piece to Martin Scorsese's Silence, which was released last year.
Yeah, you're kind of right.
I think this movie is worlds better, but
it's shorter.
It is shorter, oddly enough. But yeah, this movie's very compelling. It's gorgeous, as most of these movies are. Bergman is great at just. One thing I noticed about him is he's great at, like, adding and, like, shooting, like, multiple planes in his images. Like his.
Yeah, there's a lot of like perceived depth.
Yeah, his shots have a lot of depth to them. Yeah, Max von Sydow is just giving an all-time great performance. Like, as the knight, like, kind of grappling with all this. And, like, oddly, like, kind of resigned to his fate. Like, he's like, I'm not afraid to die. Like, I just need more time, so I know I need, like, a guarantee, I think is what he says.
Yeah, he's almost like, they're sort of like when they all go to the country house at the end and death shows up, there's sort of like somebody commented that, like, all the people in the room are going through different ways of dealing with death, like resignation, acceptance, fear.
Yeah.
Like, everyone in that room was going through the whole gambit. And also, I think this is also a movie that just, Bergman shoots faces like nobody else.
Oh, incredible. It's incredible.
Like everyone just, like, you just see every detail on their face. There's just, like, high contrast lighting on them. Like, sometimes, like, they're just sweating profusely.
Yeah.
It's just utterly, and, like, they're just, their eyes just look like these portals to eternity. It is utterly fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just really interesting. And, the medieval setting is just, like I say, weirdly a lot of fun. Like, those, like, traveling actors who they meet, they're really fun. And, like, such a compelling presence and layer that they add to the movie.
It also kind of, it uses the medieval set dressing to say something about the medieval mentality in a really interesting way.
Yeah, because they keep bringing up, like, how, like, everyone's kind of like, the plague is spreading, like, we're all probably going to die, like, we should live it up, and, like, someone says, like, the priests say, like, it's better to die pure than to, like, live in sin.
Yes.
Or something like that. Yeah, that's very interesting. It's a movie that grapples with a lot of big questions and, like, the idea of religion and I think it's great. Like everyone should see it.
Wonderful, wonderful location work.
Yeah.
Like there's like a pub they go to, which is just so full. It's just so full and lively. The church they go to is wonderful. The traveling theater caravan, is wonderful.
Yeah,
this is a great movie.
Just so much like iconic stuff in this movie. Just so well put together. I like it a lot. Probably my favorite of the three that we watched.
Interesting. Yeah, it's kind of like the Bergman picture.
Yeah.
Like whenever someone says Bergman, you think of the Seventh Seal. It is.
So yeah. Let's move on then to 1961's Through a Glass Darkly.
I really love this one.
I like it.
I liked it.
I think this one might be my favorite as far as I think it's just the most like I think it's like the granted like all of Bergman's movies are multi-layered, but I think like there's the most ambiguity in this.
Yeah.
It's also probably one of his darkest outlooks as far as the end of the movie seems to insinuate God exists and he is cruel and torturous.
Yeah, but also like our only hope is like trying to forge genuine human connections.
Yeah, and like you just have like this really odd human. Why did I say human family? Well, it almost seems like they're on an alien planet at times because like they're just really isolated on like this island, and it's almost at a certain point like you can't tell what year it is.
Yeah. Okay. So this movie takes place on an island. You have it's a 4-character chamber piece. You have Karin, played by what is her name? I think is it Hannah or Harriet? So the actress's name is Harriet Anderson. I looked it up. So she's great. She is playing Karin. Her husband is Martin, played by Max von Sydow. Also, there are her brother Minus and her father. So, what?
And her father.
And yes, her father. I think his name is David. So they are like spending just some kind of vacation on this island. Karin is like kind of recovering from like some kind of mental illness. I think it's
schizophrenia.
Yeah, something.
It's implied to be schizophrenia, and basically things ensue, which is basically like there are a lot of conversations about
God ensue.
God and death and mental illness, and it is a good movie. It's interesting.
Oh, yes.
Another gorgeously shot movie. This is kind of like when Bergman started working with his signature cinematographer, whose name is Sven Nykvist or something like that. A lot of great, incredible shots in this movie. I love those shots where Karin and Max von Sydow are in bed together, and like there's a lot of like kind of use of shadow. That's all good stuff. I liked this movie. I was not like really super enthralled by it.
Okay.
Neither was I.
Okay. Well, for me, I think to me like the showcase of the movie is when Max von Sydow and the father are in the boat together, and they have like this conversation about faith and having perceived relationship. I mean this in so far as the relationships he appears to have with his family are fronts, like how he wants his daughter to die.
Yeah.
And just a bunch of like existential questions, and it's shot in a very interesting way because they're shot reverse shot, but they're not looking at each other. They both have like this 1,000-yard stare that we cut between. And I just think that's just an arresting sequence.
That's very well done. I love the fact that it's on a boat. They're like out in the middle of the ocean or wherever. They discuss like because the father has like developed this like morbid like curiosity about his daughter's illness, and he's like, I would like kind of want to like track it, and like and Max von Sydow like is like what the fuck are you doing?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very fascinating conversation. I like that. Back on the island, Karin and her brother are maybe like doing incestuous things.
Yeah, it's
never quite made clear.
It's hard to
Minos
say.
hates women.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's also like the idea that like everyone is like unable to interact with with other people and the outside world. Like,
Yeah.
And then you also have the father saying, "I'm gonna go get tobacco," which is a euphemism for "I'm gonna cry in the kitchen because I don't know what my life is now."
yeah, as far as like I just find all that just deeply, deeply fascinating, and how everyone's just like deeply, deeply fragile.
Yeah.
Regardless, yeah.
Which I appreciate as a construct of human beings.
Yeah, that's all good stuff. I do love like her like the way that like they do like kind of her like mental like breakdown episodes. Like those are very interestingly done. Like at the end of the movie, like she just like sees a door open and then like just like through like the looks on her face and everyone else's face, like, and she like describes like what she saw. That is like a very arresting.
Eternity.
That's a very arresting thing.
Oh yes. Again, Bergman can shoot faces like no one else.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I just kind of don't have too many thoughts on this movie. Like, I recognize it's very well done. It's extremely well shot. It raises some interesting questions about God, but like overall, I found it a little, I don't know, not like really like boring, but just like, I don't know, less interesting than I had thought it would be.
I don't know. I think this is just the most cynical Bergman has gotten as far as the films I've seen of his, and I think that's just utterly fascinating. So I think that's it gave me some really good existential qualms about life and God, and how God is torture.
I was gonna say I wasn't prepared to witness that.
Yeah. And it has incest, too.
Yeah. It's just weird because, like, you know, it has, like, the weird kind of... I don't know if this is, like, a Swedish thing or, like, what, but, like, they very rarely, like, come out and, like, actually talk about, like, what they're talking about, you know?
It's kind of broken in Persona, but that sort of same thing.
Yeah. I don't know. It's all, like, they're all kind of, like, cagey about, like, what they're actually discussing, which is kind of interesting and also kind of frustrating.
Yeah, well, I'd argue that's more Bergman than anything else, but granted, there's... Well, Swedish society is also seems to be fixated on facades and what people are hiding, so...
Yeah. But shall we move on to 1966's Persona?
Yes, we shall.
Yes, we shall.
John, I just want to pose a question to you about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
May I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
Why the fuck?
Why the fuck?
Okay. No, I want to just read this one quote before we get into this. A professor said this about Persona. He said, Persona has been for film critics and scholars what climbing Everest is for mountaineers, the ultimate professional challenge. Besides Citizen Kane, it is probably the most written about film in the canon. Now,
okay.
That's an interesting point, and it really makes me wonder if Bergman like fooled everybody into thinking this movie contained multitudes when really I'm not sure. This movie is so incredibly esoteric, and I really did not know what to make of it.
I have a theory of it. Like, I'd argue it is all about, like, there's a lot of conversations in the movie about, so, like, I think at one point the nurse says, like, there is, like, a retirement home for nurses where they all stay in uniform, and, like, they have dedicated, even in retirement, they have dedicated their lives to, their possession. This woman who was kind of the focal point of the film has like stopped speaking and stopped sort of interacting with people, almost out of and like the way they frame it is like she is almost doing this out of a love of theater as a way to commit herself to performance, to be a part of this ultimate performance as just in normal life. Yeah. And then there's also the plot point regarding how, like, after the nurse tells this actress about like her deeply strange orgy, and then the actress writes a letter saying how strange an orgy she had, and there's this sort of idea of like, and where she finds like, oh wait, this is a performance. You're writing about me behind my back, and it's like this evocation of facades and how we treat people and sort of the very basics of human interaction. I think I'd argue it's a movie about facades, about like how we see ourselves.
Okay, well that's interesting. That's a good theory. I mean, there are things I like in this movie, like that scene like where she like describes her like weird orgy on the beach. Like that's an incredible scene. Like it's so like weirdly erotic without like actually like showing you anything.
It's weird to read the subtitles in that scene.
That's a great scene. I kind of love like the theme of like the like refusal and anxiety about motherhood that they bring up. That's all interesting stuff. But like, I don't know, in general, I was just kind of like grappling like what are you trying to say with this, Bergman? Like, I mean, like you kind of have like the main thing. So, okay, this nurse, Sister Anna, agrees to take care of this actress named Elizabeth Vogler, who's feigning like muteness, or supposedly feigning muteness because they can't find anything wrong with her. They go to the same island where Through Glass Darkly was shot, and for like an escape from society. Anna begins to reveal like more and more of herself to Elizabeth, and like eventually she just seems to have like a complete breakdown of self until she doesn't. But that's not even bringing up like the first like 5 minutes of this movie, which is just crazy experimental shit, including a jump scare dick within like the first 30 seconds.
I actually kind of missed that.
There was a jump scare cog and alongside it a little woo when it pops up. and like there are spiders.
There are spiders, and there's
a morgue that wakes up and then sees a reflection of a it's a projection of a person slowly coming in focus
and then going out of focus.
I have no theories about that.
I have no idea what any of that's about.
There's also a point like 40 minutes from the end, like the celluloid just like melts from the middle of the screen.
There's like
and then turns white, and then I'm sitting there going, "What the fuck?"
Like Bergman wants you to know this is a film and what we are. He wants you to realize the artifice of what you're watching, which I guess fits into the themes of facades, but like also. But the film is shot so earnestly. There's nothing really artificial about it.
Yeah, that's just so bizarre.
Also, I don't know what jump scare cock has to do with facades.
Oh, Sweden. That's all that is. Sweden. Scandinavia doesn't give a shit about nudity. That's all I can think of.
What was I going to say?
Was it about like the ending or?
Well, okay, and then like this movie just. I don't know. There were parts where I was like really enjoying it, and I was kind of like, okay, this seems to be going somewhere. Then like, I don't know, like towards the end, it just like completely like unraveled for me. Like I had no idea like why anything was happening. They do that monologue. Do you remember that monologue about like Elizabeth and her son? Like they do it twice, just like shot like one is the first time it's on Elizabeth, and then the second time it's on Anna. Yeah. And I was like. I was like, wait, are they just going to do the whole thing? Okay, they're doing the whole thing again. Like, what?
When that first happened, like, I went back and like, wait a minute, is the film repeating? Am I going crazy? Are the subtitles fucking up? What's wrong with me?
I just don't know. Well, Reed, okay, Reed, you said this was your favorite out of the two that you watched. Like, what attracted you, or like, what did you find in this movie?
I think what attracted me is, the surreal sequence of random images popping up. I mean, at which point it became so absurd, I actually began to enjoy it, like some Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, well, for its opaqueness, it's just really quick and oddly entertaining.
Yeah,
because like it's all like really arrestingly shot, and so I at a certain point I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I think I like it.
Yeah, the title call kind of reminded me of 2001: A Space Odyssey. somewhat. I don't know why, which is a Warner-esque phrase, I will admit. I'm going to drop it right now.
No, that's well, Warner. We connected to a comic book movie.
Fuck. Anyways, so one of the things that really drew me was this connection between Elizabeth and
Anna.
Sister Anna.
Yeah.
Yeah, like at first, like they evoke it as like a sort of sisterhood, as just sort of like a really close familial relationship.
I thought it was going to be more than that at first. I'm like,
I
I know it's the 60s, but
I didn't expect lesbianism, but I wasn't going to fight it either.
Well, if this
But
movie had been
like,
American,
her like former lover comes in, and
that is so strange. That is such a bizarre scene, and
again, that was another moment of like
in a movie full of them.
rewind. Did I miss something? Like I admit there's quite a few times where I just rewound it and I said, did I miss something? Is something repeating? Is there something wrong?
I don't know.
Also,
It's
imagery of like nailing a hand to a table. And then, like Jesus imagery.
yeah.
I
forgot about that. Let me.
No.
I don't know.
I'm not an expert on this movie. I've only seen it once, Reed. I just have some interesting theories about it. That's all I have.
I mean, I will say, your guys' theories are very interesting, and I don't think this movie is, like, not worthwhile, but, like...
I don't think it's, like, the movie about nothing. I don't think it's that at all.
I don't think it's that either. I just, like... Man, I don't know. This movie was 85 minutes long, and to me it felt like 2 hours. Like, I was just, like, so completely perplexed by this movie. And there were some things I kind of grasped at, but, like, on the whole, I was just kind of like, what the fuck, Bergman? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, as far as... I'm not going to say, like, this is, like, my favorite of Bergman, but I think, like, it evokes some of the most interesting ideas, and it has some of... I mean, before everything goes into surreal land, the characters are really interesting.
Yeah.
I'd argue. So, like, I think it is, like, I think sometimes it is just too opaque for its own good. Like, I don't know why the ending repeats. I don't know. But I think it's also a film that is just truly fascinating. And, like, I think it's, I can see why it's been written about so much. There is a lot going fucking on here.
I guess. I find it fascinating that we each kind of latched on to, like, a different one of these movies.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's hard to say. Well, granted, like, The Seventh Seal is the most straightforwardly entertaining of his work.
Right.
Because it's set in medieval times, and we talk to a personification of death, and... But, like, and Persona is just, like, so opaque and just so out there.
Yeah. Reed, do you have any thoughts to close us out here?
Strange orgy.
Strange orgy. Very strange.
Alrighty then.
And also adultery. Anyway.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's Persona.
I mean, I'm not going to say I have all the answers about it. I just say I have ideas. I don't think it's I think we've watched more opaque works on this podcast.
Have we?
Well, you didn't watch Synecdoche, New York.
Yeah. Oh God, that movie.
That's as transparent as a cinder block.
Oh, it's less transparent than that. A cinder block can at least have pores.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. So this has been Bergman Week. I think this week was worthwhile, even if I did find it to be.
I think I'm glad I watched through Glass Darkly and Persona.
Yeah, I'm glad I watched all these movies. I'm not sure how often I'm going to come back to Bergman, but Scenes from a Marriage and Fanny and Alexander are going to be like two things that are going to dangle over me until I watch them. So.
Yeah, I guess like there's only so many times where I can watch gorgeous black and white imagery regarding the existential crisis of existence itself.
And jump scare cock.
And jump scare cocks.
So that's that. All right, so...
Does the cock herald the dawn?
No.
Please.
It never does.
Please. Okay, so next time... I've been picking a lot of these episodes, so I would like to extend a hand to you and ask, what would you fellows like to do next time?
I've been really wanting to do Fassbender since we did
Okay.
Ali Fear Eats the Soul.
Okay.
So let us go to the internet and seek out Fassbender.
Ah, yes.
Looks kind of sleazy.
Well, he is German.
Cause of death, cocaine.
The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant. World on a Wire, which is 4 hours long.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Please. No.
Beware of a holy whore.
Jailbait.
God, this man made a lot of movies.
The Marriage of Maria Brown. Oh, I've heard that's good.
Fox and His Friends.
I've heard good things about Fox and His Friends, but I tried to find it last time, and it was very difficult to find.
I mean, World on the Wire is the one I really want to see, but again, 4 hours.
Yeah. I mean, if we just wanted to do it, I guess, like, I could watch it in, like, two-hour chunks.
Yeah, well, it's set up like part 1 and part 2 in some places.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, your call here, John.
Okay. Let's see. Let me look at Fox and Friends real quick. I apologize. I'm not prepared for this. You want to do The Marriage of Maria Brown and Fox and His Friends? And if we can't find Fox and His Friends, we do The Bitter Tears, Petra von Kant.
Can we swap them? Can we do Fox and His Friends and Bitter Tears, and then if we can't find Fox and His Friends, watch Marriage of Maria Brown?
Oh, we can do that. Yes, we can.
All right. So next week, Fassbender, Fox and His Friends, and the Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant, and possibly The Marriage of Maria Brown. We'll see what happens.
We're kind of going blind here, but I think it'll be interesting what comes out of this.
I think this should be an interesting week. All right. Fassbender is coming your way. Thank you all for listening. Hope you enjoyed this trip to black and white Sweden, and we'll see you all here next time. Reed, I have to ask, what did you think of Persona?
I think that was my favorite of the...
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Mainly because that, it was... There wasn't a lot of action in Through the Glass Darkly. There was just... I kind of felt it was a little boring. And, yes, the story was sort of motivated by Karin with her schizophrenia, and then that takes a toll on everyone around her up to the point of a climax in a wrecked ship, to which says, I have to go. And also, this god is approaching, and holy shit, he's a giant stone cold spider.
I kind of liked that, but yeah, I also thought it was a little bit boring. I feel like you probably would have liked The Seventh Seal. I've noticed this being a pattern this summer. Most of the movies that, critics have, acclaimed, I've been, various levels of underwhelmed by.
Yeah, that is a trend this year.
The only exception, since Guardians 2, the only exception has been Spider-Man, which is just because my expectations were so low for it that I ended up kind of enjoying it.
I think the only other one I could think of is Logan.
Yeah, but Logan, came out in March, yeah, really.
Oh, for summer movies, yeah, as far as, everything else, everything that's come out to Acclaim, I pretty much...
the only movies I've genuinely loved this year have been Get Out, Logan, and Guardians 2.
Yeah, that's right, because I'm looking at sort of... I liked Baby Driver, but...
Baby Driver was fine. I was, underwhelmed by that. It went, first, there was Colossal, and then...
Oh my god, Colossal!
There was, and then there was, Baby Driver, and then there was Dunkirk, and then there was, Detroit. I don't understand what's going on. And Wonder Woman. I forgot about Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, yeah. Well, but we didn't expect anything from Wonder Woman, so...
Well, once the reviews came out, I kind of did.
God damn it. Reed, stop playing Minecraft while we're podcasting!
Is that what's happening? Oh, dearie.
That was the idea. You or no one was supposed to find out because we were frozen.
That doesn't mean you're supposed to do it. This is an audio form. You can't have sustained audio conversations if you're looking at a tablet. People can't multitask. This is a fact.
Ooh. All right. Hey, welcome back to the Hack Fraud Show. We're off and running here.
I think we're tripping and falling down the cliff, and
let's wait for him to get this set up first.
Okay. What is he doing?
I don't know what he's doing.
Do you remember back? I don't even remember what grade we were in when these things happened, but I think I might have still lived in Buffalo at this point. But do you remember the Jimmy Timmy Power Hours, the like Fairly Odd Parents Jimmy Neutron crossovers?
Oh my god! Oh, that god awful special, yeah.
They made 3 of them. They made 3 of them, John.
Oh yeah, you're right. They did. They made multiple ones. Oh my goodness. Am I frozen?
On my computer, yes.
Because yeah, it's kind of just me looking like I'm dead inside.
well, I mean,
Reed, I admit that I look like I'm dead inside most of the time.
We were gonna watch Jimmy Neutron on Hulu, and the episode that they happened to pull up was the 3rd Power Hour. So we watched that last night. That was like okay, but then I woke up this morning to my roommates watching the second one.